Hello, my name is Philippa Langley. This short series of films has been done in celebration of the first 100 years of research, the centenary of the Richard III Society. It is one of the oldest and largest historical societies in the world. We hope that you enjoy them. Thank you. Some stories about Richard III are more unbelievable than others. That doesn't seem to have deterred rumour mongers turning a personal tragedy into a dark accusation and insinuating that Richard planned to murder his wife, Queen Anne, and marry his niece, Elizabeth of York. Nowadays, even the most cynical of historians aren't willing to support this particular gossip, which was spread when Richard's wife was on her deathbed. This happened at the beginning of 1485, when Anne was 28, and 9 months after the terrible blow of losing their 7-year-old son and heir, Edward of Middleham. The Chronicle of Crowland Abbey is the source that reports Richard called in doctors and was advised to avoid Anne's bed, which indicates pretty clearly that her condition was considered infectious. This is believed to have been tuberculosis, in which case she would have been suffering for some time, and they probably knew that she wouldn't recover. At this time, plans were known to be in place for an invasion of England by a rebel in France, Henry Tudor, whose supporters wanted him to marry Elizabeth of York. So that same chronicle, written after the king's death, insists Richard saw no other way to make sure of his crown than to marry Elizabeth himself. Of course, the best way for Richard to secure his crown was to defeat the invader, which he was making every preparation to do so. This idea prompted the rumour of Richard wanting to marry his niece, which of course was considered scandalous. The king was so shocked by it that he wasted no time in denying it publicly in a loud and distinct voice. The mayor and leading citizens of London were called to hear his denial and reported that it had been contrived by evilly disposed persons. There are a host of reasons why Richard wouldn't want to marry a girl whom the government had declared illegitimate, not to mention scandalising the nation. A fact that modern historians know, but monkish chronicles and rumour mongers did not, is that even before Anne breathed her last, the King's Council had been discussing an international diplomatic marriage for Richard. We know this because before this rumour arose, the ground had already been prepared for full-scale ambassadorial delegations ready to be sent on their way to the continent within a week or two. These delegates were talking to the royal families of Portugal and Spain, both of them keen to offer their eligible princesses. Portugal even went one better by also offering a princely husband for Elizabeth, the young royal Duke Manuel of Beja, very near her own age. It would have been an insulting slap in the face for Richard to pull out of these high-level negotiations and in favour of an incestuous marriage with his brother's illegitimate daughter. As we can see, it just doesn't make sense. Then, unfortunately, something was found in the historical record 130 years later, which set speculation running in lots of different directions. A letter written by Elizabeth of York, the niece, to Richard's friend, John, Lord Howard, was reportedly seen in the Howard family archives. We don't know whether the accurate words were reported, but the date was February 1485, and it clearly said that Queen Anne was dying. She actually died on March the 16th. Elizabeth's letter was following up an earlier conversation with Lord Howard, asking him to influence Richard about what she called the marriage. It doesn't say which marriage. However, thanks to the old scandalous rumour, the immediate assumption now was that Elizabeth was yearning for Richard to marry her. But this overlooks a basic fact. Elizabeth at 19 had no close connections with the 60-year-old councillor Lord Howard. So if she had romantic longings for her uncle, why expect Howard to do something about it? Could she really expect his counsellor would encourage Richard to risk an incestuous marriage? Another theory suggested by some people is that she wanted to hurry him up, a pointless suggestion since the letter says she knows Anne is still alive. Applying logic to the situation, experts who've studied the letter believe that she was asking Howard to steer Richard's choice of bride towards the match that she preferred, the one with Portugal, because it offered a royal prince as a husband for her. Ironically and sadly, Portuguese documents record that their princess was ready to marry Richard had he survived the Battle of Bosworth. Princess Joanna was the senior heir of the House of Lancaster and the legitimate line of Lancaster. So by marrying her, Richard would have united the two warring houses of York and Lancaster without any bloodshed. So thank you for watching. We hope that these have been helpful. And if you want to find out more about any of these subjects, please visit the Richard III Society website. Thank you.